From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Kat Napzok.
I'm Jen Landa.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw. I like that we're doing hand gestures now.
Oh.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, we're broadcasting live on a Monday, and look at this. 3 faces, my friends. You got through the period of time where it was just me and my frosty depression beard. Now it's 3 wonderful smiley faces. Joseph, welcome back to the program. You didn't really leave. You've just been off doing great things.
Frosty depression beard, for some reason, makes me think of A&W. I think because they had the Frosties. It's like,
Yes.
I think you should try to get yourself on the menu.
Yes. Or a job there. But yes.
That too. Hey, if you want to work at A&W and they will let me dress up as the mascot bear, I will come work at A&W with you, and we'll make some real money finally.
A plan has been formed. We'll get up to some life adventures. We're talking some Star Wars news, which really is a continuation of the news from last week. On Friday, we did the live show with the call-ins. Thank you all who those folks who called in for the Hunt for Ben Solo news. We're going to continue with that because Joseph and Jennifer haven't registered their official opinion in the public forum. Before we get to that, we remind you today's podcast is brought to you by our own merch shop on Fourth Wall. That's right. Check out our merch store. Pick up a T-shirt to help support the show and represent ForceCenter out in the galaxy, or other things, coasters, mugs, hats, a lot of wonderful things on there. Check it out at forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com. Again, that's forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com. But that's not all. We're still pushing forward here on YouTube, Joseph. Welcome back. Get back to promoting things.
Happy to be back and excited to get to 10,500 subscribers on YouTube. I do think it is important to have goals. It's been so great how much the YouTube community has built over the time that we've been doing it. We would love to get to that next level. And we also are enjoying being on more social media sites. And Ken has been doing a great job putting out little clips. ForceCenter little short treats. Those are appearing over on TikTok, and you can also follow us on Blue Sky. Thank you to the people who posted on Blue Sky, reminding us of the 10th anniversary of ForceCenter.
Yes.
That was a really nice surprise during a stressful day.
We knew it was this month. We had talked about it, but we kind of knew all 3 of us were in different directions. It's like Empire or Last Jedi or even Attack the Clones, where a lot of the main characters are in different parts of the story. We knew we weren't going to get back together, maybe mostly till now or November. So we're going to do a big 10th anniversary live stream, working on that. And tomorrow we have a kind of another open forum interview on our own little history. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Without folks reminding us, it would have slipped on by.
Mm-hmm.
Before we get to the news, we love doing life adventures. And, well, we have, I know Joseph's story, Jen, is going to be a little bit of the main event. So I'm going to put the pressure on you and I to start this off there. How were your Star Wars and or life adventures this past week?
Yeah, very limited Star Wars adventures. I would say the big thing for me was going and seeing one battle after another. I did see that yesterday. My husband had a little bit of a freak out because we could not get tickets to the VistaVision showing. Sold out, which wonderful. So we went to the next best, which was Alamo Drafthouse, and it's a fantastic movie. I mean, I'm still thinking about it. And Benicio del Toro, the Codebreaker, right? Codebreaker, was that who he was? He's in it. Guy. Oh wait, no, he wasn't the Codebreaker. That was
he became the Codebreaker.
No, what was his character's name?
DJ.
DJ, that's it.
One of the most exciting Star Wars names possible.
I mean, yeah. Anyways, he's fantastic in the film. I always love seeing him and seeing him on screen. It's really great. Highly recommend it.
It's on my list. It's on my list. That's good. I actually watched a movie this weekend too.
You did?
Rare. Yeah, I watched House of Dynamite on Netflix, the Catherine Bigelow film, which I love my docs. I love my middle-aged man war docs, and this one is a scripted fiction movie, but it might as well be called documentary of the future if we're not careful. So I get scared too easily from horror films, but this one might be the most scary of them all. It is a impending nuclear disaster and the response to it and the decisions made, and I had to sit 20 minutes after the movie just silently staring out my window.
Ooh,
just that kind of tension. And I loved it. I thought it was great.
That's fantastic.
That was it. That was my adventure. I did have a little bit of Star Wars adventure, I guess. Bittersweet. But I been kind of trying to move some of my Star Wars merchandise, especially stuff I've acquired over the last 10, 15 years during the podcast reign, where especially the early days where, you couldn't have a video podcast without 92 Funko Pops on your desk. So I did a lot of collecting and found a couple working on some deals with some ForceCenter friends in the Discord. I put up some of the ones that are for sale. I am working on that deal. And it is it's a great memory lane kind of trip. It is also, like I said, it's bittersweet to get rid of some of the stuff I don't necessarily want to, but I kind of feel I have to. But to just look at each and every pop that I'm moving, and just they all do have a story. They all, and I'm very happy that these are going to a good home. That they're not just dropping off at a garage sale somewhere or thrift store or swap meet. Like, these are going to homes within the ForceCenter community where people will continue the appreciation of these characters. But that is fun as we look back not on the show for 10 years, but the Disney era going back to 2012. Fun little trip.
Mm-hmm. Are you taking pictures of your Funko Pops before you send them away?
I am. Well, yes, in the sense of that's how I tell people what I have left. I'm not like documenting per se, but I do have them.
Yeah, I just think if a part of the value of them is their story, it's nice to have a photo, and you can flip through and think about the story.
Yeah, and hopefully get to another place in my life where I'm in a little bit more permanent living situation. Not that I'm moving this week or anything, but like where I feel a little more locked in and maybe have a little bit more discretionary income. Like that will happen for any of us in the foreseeable future. But I can manifest it, and then you go out. I'll go out hunting for these again, and there will be a new story to tell with all of them.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, I try to think of most of my figures as just like. I'm just holding them now. I'm like a little one-person library of Star Wars things, and eventually they will find their new collector.
Little Star Wars museums, but that's my adventures. That's Jen's. You, sir, though, we're discussing a little bit on tomorrow's show that comes out, but whatever you want to share, you had quite the monumental week, I do believe.
Yeah, it was really good. The horror film that I've been working on for about 2 years now is called Dead Media, and we had a premiere in Minneapolis. We shot the film in Minneapolis, and so I wanted to really celebrate the film being done, because I realized otherwise it would be like, okay, well, we finished it, and it's on my laptop now, and 3 pieces of confetti, and hooray. So I decided it would be great to sort of test out what it would be like to really try to make it an event to have a premiere. So we had some pre-show entertainment from my wife, Sarah, and from my friend, Bill Corbett, who's also in the movie. And I did some stand-up as well. We screened the film, and then we had a Q&A, and the theater offers to offer a custom cocktail. And Sarah and I designed a cocktail that could be blue, because there's a blue theme in the movie. And it was just, we had a photo op where people could pose with the poster of the film. It was really nice to make it an event, because I just so think, as much as streaming is great and it's great to have access to things like House of Dynamite at home, I think that such a power of storytelling is the community, to sit in a big dark room and have a reason to go there and to have it feel special. So it was delightful to finish the film, and I was really gratified by the reception. It was really positive, and I had kind of braced myself from like, well, people might on the way out say, good effort. Or I like that part, but why did you do that? Like, I've done enough shows that I can tell when people are like, good job, friend. Nice try. And people were very, very enthusiastic and very sincere. And I think one of the most special parts of the whole thing was as we were leading up to the premiere, I was really excited for it, but I was thinking a lot about the Star Wars lore of George Lucas, given everything he had to the first Star Wars film. And then it's like, and I don't even want to be in America or in the continental US. I'm going to go to Hawaii, with Steven Spielberg, and just like, I did everything I could. And so I had a little bit of that, of just like utter stress and exhaustion of it's done. And I just, but I also want to be at this premiere and soak it in. And man, am I glad that I did that, because working on the film, you get so close to it, you stop being able to see it as a film. You only see it as details. And seeing it through an audience's eyes, I was like actually able to watch the film as one story again for the first time in a long time. And that was really, really gratifying. And I so appreciate Ken and Jen, your support and the support of everybody in the ForceCenter community. And that is reflected in the film, and I can't wait to share it with more people. The event in Minneapolis was just sort of a celebration of finishing it, and now we're going to work on selling it and distributing it and all those things.
The real work has begun, right?
The real work. Yeah. Lots of it.
After nearly breaking your soul and your psyche to get to this point, and now big ForceCenter, well done to you, and I think I speak for Jen here. One of the rare times I think I can that we're very happy, proud, and supportive. Continue to be of your work there.
Well, thank you. I really, really appreciate it, and I look forward to sharing it with more folks. And I do also want to grab this from Osvetnik. It said, I'm sensing animosity from Joseph when he said DJ. No, I didn't mean that toward the character of DJ. I just still find it funny that Star Wars swings from names like Savage Opress and Darth Malgus to DJ. Tim Carlo. And DJ's kind of like a major character in one of the big films. And I know it's the possibility standing for Don't Join and all that, but it just, when Jennifer couldn't remember the name, it was like, understandable.
So simple.
Can't remember my friend's name. It's like, it's that great Star Wars character named Mike Smith. Like, I understand why it slipped your mind.
Yeah.
Mikey likes it. Well done all around. I do want to apologize. I know I've got some crunchy internet going right now, but you two are coming in loud and clear, which is good because as we transition to Star Wars news, you both get the little bit of a spotlight here. Let us recap some of the stuff. I wrote a recap that's still ongoing. It's very general. Okay, it's very general. There's a lot of details to talk about. A lot of details that might still roll out here. The news from late last week was that, of course, Adam Driver, actor from Star Wars and other things, and Steven Soderbergh, Rebecca Blount, a.k.a. Jules Asner. I think Jules, Rebecca Blount's her pen name. I think she's being left out of the conversation a lot, but she was very key in the development of this idea. And later, Scott Z. Burns developed and wrote a movie, a script also about the movie, tentatively titled The Hunt for Ben Solo. This we all know. This followed a conversation that Kathleen Kennedy and Adam Driver had about him continuing his relationship with Star Wars circa 2021. I think that year is key. The pitch turned into a script, which was all approved by Lucasfilm, specifically Kathleen Kennedy, Carrie Beck, and Dave Filoni, all excited. This ready-to-go project was taken to Disney CEO Bob Iger and Alan Bergman, at the time a possible and perhaps the leading heir apparent to Iger, and it was rejected. And this was the first time Lucasfilm took a completed script to Disney to say, hey, we've done all the legwork. We're ready to do this. What say you? Adam Driver said Bob and Alan just didn't see how Ben Solo was alive. Driver and Soderbergh both say the project is dead. Soderbergh did take to Blue Sky to add a little bit more to the story. So that's kind of the overall vibe there. We got the story, the business, the conspiracy, and the campaign to make this happen. But Joseph, I got to start with you here on the overall reaction to this, especially as you're having kind of a busy and important week and some Star Wars news breaks.
I was really missing ForceCenter and eager to get back. And I talked about this a little bit on our other show, but people kept asking me, it's like, so you're going to get back to your regular life? I was like, yeah, like, what is it? Like, it's talking about Star Wars. And it's like, you don't understand. Did you see the thing about Adam Driver? People are like, yeah. And it's like, you don't understand. This is very big Star Wars news. So I was very excited to talk about it. In terms of just the story, I really like the concept. There's something about that title that is so evocative and to me tells so much that that the how and why of Ben Solo's return seems implicit in the concept. Not we got to real quick explain how Ben Solo came back and then we'll do a story. The Hunt for Ben Solo as a title, to me, whether or not it is the actual story, makes me imagine a story where Ben Solo has made a sacrifice and he is one with the Force, and someone or something needs or wants something from him and wants to bring him back. I have no idea if that would be the story, but that's what's really interesting to me. I think my only thing about this whole, what would that movie be, is like, how is Rey involved? If people were hunting for Ben Solo, Rey might be involved. But then I also was like, well, wouldn't it be interesting if it was like some sort of dark side acolyte who, use some dark magic to pull him back to mortal realm because they wanted him to be Kylo Ren and he didn't want to be Kylo Ren anymore. And, reading up on Soderbergh, because I've seen, a handful of his movies, how much they deal with heists and identity crisis. It seems like ooh, if Darksiders wanted to, instead of rob 5 casinos in Las Vegas, bring back their Dark Chosen One, who doesn't want to be a Dark Chosen One anymore, but also by being alive has to deal with the actions he's taken. Like, these are all the places that my mind went, and it seems like rich storytelling. And unlike some of the kind of coming back to life that Star Wars fans have wrestled with, it seems to me built into the story, which makes it really interesting.
Yeah, love everything you're saying there. I think we're in strong alignment on just the idea. Again, we know next to nothing. We know the title or the names involved, and we know the time frame. But for me, and bringing you in here, Jen, but for me, as I said on Friday, it has an art house vibe to it, just based off what the names involved, and that I do not think it is as simple as Spider Legs or Palpatine just coming back, which I love. Other people don't love. I get it. And I got a little spicy on Friday on those, taking the opportunity to bash the sequel trilogy or episode 9. This ain't the place to do that, kids. Sorry. So I think it has, pun intended, legs, Jen. But also, we don't know much. But what's your overall thoughts? Either or, because some folks haven't been on board with the idea.
Oh, I am so on board with this idea. We'll get into the business and the conspiracy side of it. But in terms of the story, one of the articles said it would be Darth Vader in reverse, which I think is really interesting, especially right now. I think it'd be a very important story to tell. How do you redeem yourself after you've committed such terrible atrocities? Or not? Is he still wrestling with some of these things, right? Like, what does it mean for redemption for this type of a character? But what made me most excited was obviously Steven Soderbergh, love Traffic, Benicio del Toro there again. Oh, he's so good in that film. And he brings something, dare I say, a grittiness, but he brings kind of something similar to the universe that Tony Gilroy brought, right? That really grounded sensibility. With this character, I think could be really fascinating. And what really sold me on it was Adam Driver himself, was hearing his excitement about it and how much he loved playing the character. And I think there's so much value in that. I want to see him on screen, and we'll talk about how many people want to see him back on screen as his character. But just that he had pictures of his kid in the Millennium Falcon, like, I don't know. He seems kind of aloof about things, but this project, they spent 2 years working on this thing. Like, he's not the type of person that's just going to get involved just for a cash grab. Like, he worked with Steven Soderbergh and I'm going to say Jules Asner on this to bring this to life. It's got to be a good story.
Your former coworker, Jen, Jules Asner, over at E!
Over at E! I know. Back when she was a host of E! News with Steve. I can't remember his name.
Steve Kometko. Steve Kometko. Absolutely. Jeez, what happened to Steve Kometko?
Well, yeah,
is he writing Star Trek now? We'll have to figure that out.
Crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I love what you're saying about what Driver's enthusiasm says about the project artistically. Because the rest of that article where this came out, a lot of what Driver is talking about is wanting to make films that are sort of a little bit of an auteur director, a little bit of like, any film is a group project, but we can often feel the authenticity more when it is flowing from one person. You know, as Star Wars fans, we know we give George Lucas credit for the idea, but man, the idea wouldn't be there without Ben Burt or John Williams or Ralph McQuarrie or Carrie Fisher and this endless list of people who helped. But it flows from this guy being like, what if you made a serial and combined it with myth and, all that. So the fact that Driver is saying, I really only want to work with directors like that. And Soderbergh has such a track record of being both a kind of singular vision, auteurish director who can also clearly work with big studios just fine, and got the thumbs up from Kathleen Kennedy, Carrie Beck, but Filoni in particular, who has done, I think, such a good job of yes-anding people's ideas, of saying, you want to take this twist on Star Wars. It is a needle to the thread of how does he come back. We don't want to be overly clear about Force rules, but we don't want to break rules or morals connected to rules. And if Filoni said, yeah, I can yes and this, then that means to me this was a project that had like real auteurish ownership and excitement and still managed to play nicely in the sandbox of Star Wars, which I think is a difficult needle to thread. And the fact that this one did is what makes me really want it to have happened.
Yeah, I have this kind of daydream, like fake meeting in my mind where this idea is coming across their desk in a pitch meeting, and like Dave pulls out like his World Between Worlds notebook. It's like, I got some ideas. You want this? You want this? Yeah, it fits into that, and that's why for me, again, we know next to nothing, and we Star Wars fans love to run with it, and that's part of the fun. That was part of the news. Was that's intriguing, and for me, it was. Again, the names on board, the pedigree of all these folks, but just the Adam Driver of it all. I think if he, or in the case of Daisy Ridley in the new Jedi Order film that we're still very much behind and hopeful for here at ForceCenter, if John Boyega ever comes back, if Oscar Isaac ever comes back, if the big four from this era come back, I will trust it because they've all been pretty clear of either problems or things where they weren't as excited about things like that. Like that's not about the films. It's just about the filmmaking process for 10 years. They wanted to put some distance behind it. But Jen, when these artists are like, oh yeah, no, I met with Kathleen Kennedy. I know I might have Adam doesn't say this, but he's like, I know I have a reputation of being maybe a little aloof from this. I don't show up to conventions. I don't show up to after parties. I'm a performer. I'm a worker. This is what I do. But I'm intrigued by this. That should carry some weight, right, Jen?
I would think so. I mean, it's really, really shocking. We can get into the why about how this didn't get made. Like, it's so surprising to me. And I really do hope that there is a chance, but they keep saying in the articles, well, this is dead. this is dead, which is why they are now talking about it. But I'm like, look, anything can happen. Look at Deadpool, right? People always point to that example. Anything can happen, but I trust Adam Driver's gauge on things, and he's not going to do it if it's not good, and he doesn't believe in it, at least, right?
Excuse me.
This is how excited. It would be amazing if Ken kept coughing and then Ben Solo reemerged, and that's how he came back.
And with my crappy internet, you can't tell if I'm coughing. And I'm sorry, everyone. Today, I think I'm uploading something accidentally. I don't know what's going on over there in my home base there. Yeah, no, he has, and maybe even there's stuff here that we've said that's perpetuated some of the ideas that he is over Star Wars. There are a lot of stories to emerge of him not even being around for the reshoots episode 9. He obviously doesn't show up to conventions and all those things. He's just, and I told the story on Friday, the one time he was at the Collider office when I was there, we all got a note from his people, do not talk about Star Wars. That can be interpreted as he hates it, or I just want to move forward. I do other things. I don't want to be pigeonholed. That's not valuable to me, though. Loves being in the Star Wars family, but stuff started to emerge. Jen, you're right, of him liking that kids come up to him as recognize him as Ben or Kylo Ren, or him having kids. I mean, it was perhaps wrong. And if I was part of it too, I apologize. Wrong to just assume that Adam was like, F it all, I want nothing to do with it. He played the character with all of his heart, so it would make some sense that he'd still want to be around.
It was great from our friend Brian, Midnight Mass. This is like finding out Harrison wanted to make a Han movie in 1988, but George said no. Painful. Yeah, and I think that I would really encourage people to read that whole interview with Adam Driver, because he also talks about how he doesn't even watch his own films. I think, and it has popped up for me a couple times. The Graham Williams interview with Adam Driver, where he talks about going to Comic-Con, and it's very funny and I think very insightful. I think some actors embrace Comic-Con and like it, and I think Adam Driver is just like he's focused on his work, and all the noise outside of it is kind of overwhelming to him. And the way he describes Comic-Con is just like, I didn't know I would be dropped into a entire city that knew my face and had an opinion about it. It was like not that he's like, that's beneath me. It's like, the fandom part of it is appreciated, but for me as a person, it is utterly overwhelming. And I think, imagine, you have a birthday party and there are 30 people there and everybody wants to talk to you, or if you've been married or had a work event where you're the focus of everybody. And imagine that's your entire life. I think sometimes that's where somebody like Adam Driver is coming from. It's not about disliking Star Wars or fans. It's like, this is a little overwhelming for me personally.
Yeah. It's work, baby. It's work.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And you can get away with that, like back in the old school days, right? Where you're only having to do print media or occasional interviews on TV and stuff. But nowadays, like, it's all about vibes. And so I saw an interview with Robert Pattinson and Jennifer Lawrence. No mention of their film together. It was just a funny interaction between the two. And I was like, they've got a lot of chemistry. I like them. You know, I'll go give their movie a try. That's like how it works nowadays. And I'm sure that must be kind of uncomfortable for him, who is like a professional and not to say they're not, but like who really just wants to focus on the work.
Yeah. Yeah. The rest is noise, like you said, Joseph. Anything left on the story? We can always come back to it. We don't need to follow a straight line here, but anything, Jen, that would hold you back on the idea of this happening? We are very pro Rey here and pro New Jedi Order. I don't think the steps on it. I don't necessarily think it's a guarantee it's in conjunction with it, but anything on the story, Jen, before we move to the business of it all, which is the juiciest, I think, of it all.
Oh yeah, no, I would only hope that Rey would make some appearance. That's my only request. She makes some appearance.
I just can't imagine a script where her connection and his connection to her is not a part of the story, even if it's not Rey looking to find him. I am curious, before we move on from the story, Ken, how you feel about the have too many people come back from the dead. Or is that a non-issue with you because you love Ben Solo so much, or where are you at with that?
I am in a very positive place on this character, and I do understand the everyone returns from the dead kind of thing. But and this might have contributed a little bit to my grumpiness on Friday. It was not going to be that simple. It was not going to be like any other things you might have had an issue with in Star Wars. And I was, whenever the year that Maul came back, I was like, get the F out of here. There's no way. Like, stop. And that kept me from maybe diving deeper into Clone Wars until later on, until here. And look what happens, right? That's, to me, the best example. It's kind of, quite frankly, batshit insane to think that Maul would come back. But George is like, figure it out. Not only they figure it out, they give us some of the best Star Wars storytelling, and we got Maul Shadow Lord on the way, so we got more storytelling coming with him. That's the way it works. I personally love the use of Palpatine. Did it need to be explained better? Sure, great. Did it need to be in a Fortnite message? No. It is not an emergency break glass. It was a great thematic choice. The Jedi let go, the Sith hold on, and it was about the previous generation refusing to let go, and in fact, taking the power from the generation before them to build themselves up. I thought it was tremendously appropriate and used in a great way. But I understand that it's a little clunky for those folks. I understand if you're not behind it. But for me, it worked. But for this point, again, it goes to the names and the people involved, which is not a slight on anyone else. But for these folks to get together, for Adam Driver to go, yeah, Kathy, I have an idea. Go to Soderbergh. He worked with them on Logan Lucky. Rebecca Blount. We keep saying Jules Asner. I know that's a professional name. I don't want to do anything, but I just know her for me. But I don't want her being left out of the story because I think her name's not being brought up a lot. They come together. Scott C. Davis comes along a little bit later, gets $3 million for a script. But I think the three of them come together. Like, I absolutely trust that it would not have just simply been, hey, Ray, I'm back. It would have been spiritual. It would have been challenging. It would have been rich with themes. So that excited me.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I think for me, Star Wars is a myth, and especially a character that is Force connected. As long as it makes emotional sense, I'm on board. And I agree with you. I think Maul made emotional sense. It's a fascinating character study to survive on hate and then have nothing left, and everything else, all of his pain proceeds from that. And Palpatine not wanting to let go of power, and all of the language in Rise of Skywalker about him being the one true Sith, and everything with Rey and the Jedi and our heroes coded as us and we. It's very, very powerful and very specific. And I have no doubt that that's what this story would be too. Of that, I'm sure there would be a world between worlds, virgins, fun and interesting explanation. But I so trust that it would be emotionally rich, and why my imagination goes to, what if he was at peace and somebody dragged him back? We haven't seen that, you know?
Yeah.
And also there's the quote from the playlist article about the creative team's reaction to being shot down because the Iger and Bergman allegedly couldn't see how he could come back. The article says, internally, that reaction surprised Lucasfilm leadership, who reportedly felt the story's logic was clear and creatively sound. And that to me really tells me the story was at least partially about his return. It wasn't a quickie. And as much as I absolutely love Palpatine's return, I understand that for a lot of people, it was handled clumsily because they just wanted to get into the story. But it sounds, which I don't care about, but I respect that other people do. But it sounds to me like this is the total opposite, that the how is a big part of the story.
Absolutely. Looking at some of the business of it here, I'll set the table a little bit, but in terms of just not even where I feel, I shared again on Friday, but I do think it's very important to know the era. And it definitely seems with additional reporting that was kind of one of the final reasons. We just don't see it here. And that's frustrating. And I want to be clear here in this era of politics and social strife, I am not going to say at any point that I'm defending CEOs or Uncle Bob and his cardigans. I am frustrated too. I do think if you're going to have an honest conversation about this, though, you have to understand the era. This is circa 2001, 2021, maybe into 2022. There is massive CEO drama that has taken place at Disney. Bob's first attempt to leave. The human thumb, Bob Chapek, comes in. That doesn't work out. He's fired at an Elton John concert. Iger's forced almost to come back. COVID has changed the game. They don't even know how to make these things anymore. And streaming is still being a focus. We can maybe now say that might have been wrong for a lot of the studios to do. We could look around at evidence, but that's still, we're in the height of this is the future, right or wrong. There are a lot of factors that hang over the story, including internal politics, including Bergman maybe being the heir apparent. And I think that's important to the overall conversation. That said, Jed, we're all artists here. You get in a meeting. This is how the town works. This is how you sit in a pitch where you get, hey, I got this idea. And then someone who's counting beans and barely reading your script goes, no. Or could you add a flying dragon and a sword? Well, this is a period piece set in the Gilded Age. Make a dragon. This is how it happens. Jen, where you're thinking of the overall business of it here?
Yeah, I mean, when you give the context, it makes a lot of sense. Streaming was the focus for a long time. Everyone was like, "That's where we're going to make our money. That's going to be the ticket." And as they've seen, they've gotten burned, kind of pretty badly, all of them, by falling into that trap. So, and then also COVID and the drama with the CEOs and kind of I don't want to say the backlash, but there was a lot of issues with the sequel trilogy online. There was a lot of anger, and I'm actually kind of surprised that Lucasfilm was like, yes, we want to make this. That to me is like, wow, they didn't care. They were ignoring kind of what we were seeing with the sequel trilogy, right? Like they believed in this story enough to be like, we're gonna be okay with this. Fans are going to be on board with this. It's so good. So for Disney to then come in and be like, no, it's just a reminder of, I guess, of what George was able to accomplish because he was the man in charge. And he was like, I'm going to do it my way. He didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff.
Maybe the ghost of Alan Ladd Jr. would have greenlit The Phantom Menace.
There you go.
The ghost of Alan Ladd Jr. is probably the only executive, living or dead, who would have just said, sure, George, to the Phantom Menace script. The Phantom Menace script in its structure does lots of things that are textbook no-nos. And George is, like Rian Johnson has said, like he is an auteur director. Those are the most expensive indie films ever made, the prequels. Yeah, and you can see why he went that path.
Yeah, no, I love studying that angle of it. I love that you bring in the George history. You know, as someone who did a lot of research on the Young Indiana Jones TV series a couple years ago for a job I had, like the pitch is insane. Where they're like, yeah, Young Indy, like that River Phoenix sequence, and and he's like, no, I'm gonna make a bunch of history documentaries that are just stories with Indy, and I want these to be in classrooms. And oh yeah, people are gonna hate it. That was like George's pitch, and ABC was like, okay, but I just don't think very few people are gonna get that anymore. I appreciated that Driver at the whole start of the story, the Associated Press interview, is very clear that no, Kathleen Kennedy asked to meet. I did. I was on board. We come back with this. They're on board. I thought it was good to delineate who was on board and who wasn't with the Iger and the Bergman of it all. But Joseph, overall thoughts on that? And as someone who has been in many pitching meetings in the last couple of years, how many large spiders did you need to add to your script?
Yeah. I mean, my experience was I got to, and most of the other people I talked to at the time, you don't pitch to a true decision maker unless you're already very, very powerful. So people who are not as powerful or even have a little bit of experience under the belt, they pitch to young executives who are actually excited about your project. And so you have pitch meetings that go great. And then they run it up the chain, and people who didn't talk to you, didn't get to ask you questions, didn't get to see your enthusiasm and your sincerity and the breadth of understanding that you have of the project, just look at a pitch deck and go, nah. So like there is something broken in, there are many things broken, but in terms of things like this to me feels like a very large version of what most people pitching are experiencing right now. Of you can get like this level of gatekeeper on board, but then they bring it into the castle where the royalty is sitting on their throne above the bed of lava, and they're like, no. Yeah, so it sounds very familiar to me. I also know from myself and from having friends who pitch a lot, you can oftentimes you don't get a reason. Like when my manager would collect no's, every time I'd be like, did we get a reason? And he would get frustrated with me asking. It seems like the most logical thing in the world to want to know why, because like, well, maybe I can do something different next time. But the why is a courtesy, and that's a courtesy that happens based on relationships of all of the managers and investors and corporate. Well, if this person has a relationship with, like, it isn't about let's communicate to the creative people what we want. It's so you were lucky if you got a why, and then the why was often like, well, that's either weird or doesn't make any sense. And this one feels like that to me, of like, maybe Iger thinks of himself as a story guy. So maybe he was like, I'm reading the tea leaves, and a lot of people didn't like Rise of Skywalker, and a lot of people really didn't like Palpatine coming back. So no, I'm not turning around and doing that. But as one of the articles talks about, it seems to me like there's a much larger story about whatever was going on politically with Iger, with Bergman, and with how much does Disney dictate to Lucasfilm and Marvel and the Muppets and National Geographic? How much do these things have their own world and say, and how much is everything a nice idea until you show it to the mouse, and then the mouse decides? And who knows what was going on with all the politics of that? I think, Ken, you did a great job of laying out everything going on in the industry, but I think there's just so much like the relationships of high-powered people are no different than our relationships in our little friend groups. And like, who knows? Maybe Bergman got beat by golf by driver's management. Who knows?
Who knows, indeed. Who knows, indeed, Jen. And like I said, Jen, I'm not trying to make excuses for Uncle Bob here. I wish they got a yes here. Yeah. Alan Bergman's not even the heir apparent anymore. It's more Dana Walden and Josh D'Amaro. But more thoughts on the atmosphere of this era.
The thing is that that's so funny. Just if you're talking about the no's and not getting a no, is the reason why they don't tell people outright. I'm sure Kathleen Kennedy knows. I'm sure that they told, Bob Iger told her exactly why and his thought process. But that doesn't always trickle down to the filmmakers and the cast and whatnot, because they don't want to be like, no, we're not going to do this and cause like strife with creatives. Because if for some reason Adam Driver blows up even more, or Steven Soderbergh now is a highly sought out, as if he's not, right? Like if somehow they gain more power, Disney wants to be able to go back to them and be like, actually, you know what? That one didn't work out, but we have something new. It's like always maintaining this level of like goodwill with people. So that's why a lot of times they're so vague, because it's this constant, like constant shifting of hierarchy, right? Of who has the power and who's going to need the power. And it's just a really gross kind of situation. I understand. It just would be helpful. Tell us why. But I don't even know where I was going through that. I just was thinking about like with casting, right? Like
Yeah.
same thing. They don't tell you
Mhm.
why. And then you see the person you cast that they cast, and it's like, oh, well, they're related to so and so. That's why they cast him in that part.
Mhm.
It's just so frustrating.
I know many actors, some very close to me, maybe you as well, Jen, who didn't find out they didn't get the part until they went into the theater or turned on the TV and went, "Oh,
Yeah.
there's that
Oh,
show
yeah.
I was auditioning," and went very far in the process of
yeah.
casting.
They put a pin in you. They put a pin in you, and you're like, I know you're supposed to be shooting today. Am I released? And I used to call my agent and be like, am I released now? They'd be like, no, they haven't released you. I'm like, well, I know they're shooting, so
They might fire that person halfway through the day.
yes, it's always a possibility. It's always a possibility. But
This
whatever
might be a
Sean
Back to the
Levy,
Future.
can I just say that whatever Sean Levy did, he came in at the right time with the right. It just all aligned for him. I really believe that. That's just it's kind of luck, right? It's just luck.
Timing, luck.
It absolutely there's yes, absolutely tons of luck. But we've talked a lot about how, you know, good for him. Sean Levy really got people excited about it and talked about it like it was a done deal before it was a done deal. And now I'm wondering, like, did he probably knew about this and was like, oh, if Adam Driver or Steven Soderbergh had slipped this beforehand, that it was a possibility, you know. Yeah. I think one question I had for both of you is so now we have this story, you know, we haven't heard, Disney has declined to comment. We haven't heard personally from Kathleen Kennedy, but if we assume all of the reporting is correct, we have this instance where Lucasfilm was aligned and Disney said no. For where we're at right now with Star Wars movies, you know, Kathleen Kennedy comes out in Celebration in London in 2023 and personally says, hey, this is the direction of Star Wars. We got 3 movies. We're looking at the past, the present, and the future of Star Wars. And here's the 3 movies we're doing. We're doing this Rey movie to move forward, kind of in the current timeline, if you will. We're going to have Dave Filoni's New Republic versus Thrawn movie. And James Mangold is going to look back at the past. And now, you know, Iger's back. Streaming has stumbled. All those things have happened. We've got 2 Star Wars films coming out. Neither of them are the 3 that Kathleen Kennedy confidently said, hey, Star Wars fans, it's back on track. Here's what we're doing. So this knowledge of what happened to the Hunt for Ben Solo movie does make me feel more like I'm excited for the Mandalorian Grogu movie, but it feels more like Iger came in and said, that's the movie to do, and that's the movie to do next. So great that you announced those 3 things, but do Mandalorian and Grogu, which is no shade to me on the actual film Mandalorian and Grogu or Favreau. It's just looking at the tea leaves of the business side. Ken, does all this make you look differently at the kind of current slate of Star Wars films?
Yeah, in a positive way. Here's we were there in London. I loved it. That was a great moment. Daisy really coming out on stage. Big Jim Mangold there. Dave Filoni in a new cowboy hat. Loved it all. Loved it all. I do think, and we've all worked not only in the entertainment business for since the 90s, but just covering the nerd con world as a news source over the last 10 years. I think part of the problem is all these studios have to build towards some of these announcements. There's giant pressure. There's less pressure now, but oh God, Hall H. That was almost like, to borrow a wrestling thing, every year WrestleMania is the end of a season and the launch of a new one, essentially, right? You build everything to here and then you go for Hall H, Comic-Con was the spot. Who's going to win the day? Who's going to have the splashiest announcement? Disney, Lucasfilm, and MCU, Marvel are not the only ones to have things go, hey, and then, oh, sorry, the Universal Monster Universe. What are you talking about? That didn't happen. And I think it puts undue, unneeded pressure on, and I'm not blaming fans because it's fun, and I can't wait to get some big announcements and cheer in 27. But I even think in London, remember, stories had broke. Scoopers had kind of discovered this and was like, oh, they're going. I think it was a good faith announcement, but that doesn't mean the business isn't going to change rapidly. That doesn't mean, we are in a shareholder value world. I don't like that, but that's where we are in a lot of places. So absolutely, streaming's collapsing for us. It ain't working, but let's keep jacking up the prices. And then we had a season 4 of Mando. Johnny Favs, you're reworking that. We're doing a movie. We're getting this going. I actually understand the business of it. So I am I am excited for those films, as I am excited for those other ones to maybe finally happen. And I just feel over the years, after 10 plus years of going to the cons, covering Hall H, waiting for D23 announcements, waiting for this, I'm like, I just think that put undue pressure on all these studios to force things into existence that weren't ready to be.
I think that's a really great way to look at it, and actually makes me feel better that maybe it isn't that so much that Iger pulled the rug out from under Kathleen Kennedy, but that more the pressure was announce something big, and like, well, these aren't cooked, but okay, I'll announce them.
Cooked.
I think that's a great perspective. Very wise, Ken.
Yeah, it's just it's like the release date thing, you know. All the three of us weren't covering the movie business with Army Archer in the 80s, but I don't recall internally. This is probably the thing, but I don't recall. And we are announcing the release date of this film, and it's going to happen. And then when the business or just the making the films, which can sometimes go awry or take more time, but you have to hit your date. That's one of the biggest problems with The Hobbit. Del Toro pulls off. It's a fascinating story. He pulls out. Jackson doesn't want to be back in, but they've got to kind of do it. And then they're going to do 3 films, and they don't move the dates. New Line and no one moved the dates of the film. And that just kind of created a situation where even Peter Jackson was maybe making decisions he wouldn't normally have made. And I just I wish it's the business of it. It's not going to change, but it's all about shareholder value. Doesn't mean we can't get good art, but I think I've become more aware, frustrated by that over the years.
Jennifer, what is your take?
On shareholders, I just saw a report that another billionaire, the billionaire that just bought Paramount, is also looking to buy Warner Brothers, which, oh my gosh, it is frightening. And Adam Driver mentions in one of the stories where he talks about like getting to work with auteurs, that people that are making films, like not as, I don't think he said as a committee. I can't remember how he phrased it, but like, I think that there's so much fear of failing that then it becomes like, I don't know, it feels like not sanitizing the process, but it feels like there's too many cooks in the kitchen, right? It's like, who knows what could have been with this story with Ben Solo? Maybe it would have been amazing. Maybe it wouldn't have worked, but the risk was not taken. And so as of now, we'll never know because Bob Iger, for various reasons, didn't want it to happen, right? And I just think that that's frustrating because if George Lucas hadn't taken a risk, if Alan Ladd Jr. hadn't taken a risk, we would have never gotten Star Wars in the first place. I mean, making a movie is risky. It is never going to be foolproof. You can poll as many people as you want and feel like you have a built-in audience and you can stack it full with influencers and products and whatever. It's never going to be enough. K-pop Demon Hunters. Nobody expected that was going to do the numbers that it did, but those creators believed in it. Every single person involved took a risk, and look at it now, right? So I get so frustrated about where things are going, and it's not just the entertainment industry. It's like, all these corporations are just with everything and AI just are trying to run our lives.
Well, you say all these corporations, but we're pretty much down to 5.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Running everything.
Two.
Yep. And 6 when the Trade Federation comes to our universe.
Yeah. Do you want to go to Paramount Plus presents Chili's restaurant tonight for dinner? Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Governed by
order
AI.
it, pay extra for delivery, and have the food be half as large because I have no choice. I want to pop this up here from Jeannie from Tahini with a little perspective. I feel like everything Star Wars received so critically with so many complaints that maybe Disney was just being cautious fronts. And so we are all complaining again.
Yes.
I think there's definitely an irony there. And as much as I think there are politics behind it that we don't know, I can also see Iger, who really pats himself on the back as being a story guy, just going, we just took a bath on Palpatine coming back. And I'm really afraid of Ben Solo coming back and responding to the criticism in a way that prevents risk taking.
Yeah. No, I love that comment, and I only bring this up with a lot of passion to just push for a more robust conversation around it. I saw a lot of stuff last week that is understandably full of frustration towards Iger, Bergman, Disney, maybe even Lucasfilm, but not so much in this case. And I get it. We have a great question we'll answer here with the generous super chat too, as well about that. But like, I just want folks to have a little bit more roundabout 360-degree conversation about the business of it all. I'm not defending this. I wish this existed, but in 2021, I could absolutely see, even though that's not cited as the reason, but see part of this being we should push forward. Do we want to redo these characters? And they test this stuff. They got the notes in front of them. You know, I'm not saying Iger's on Blue Sky checking hashtags, but they got folks that are like this 42% people. I can see them saying this might not be the best business decision, especially even though we do not know the idea in full. I said up top, I said on Friday, I think you kind of echoed some of it, Joseph and Jennifer, but like this had kind of an art house vibe to it. This wasn't just simply pew, pew, pew. This was, let's go into the spirit world and find out what's going on in the cosmic force with this guy as we hunt for him. Like, it could have been like a little bit of like, I just don't see it. I don't see it, which I don't agree with, but it could have been some of it. I just want the bigger conversation.
Wouldn't that be amazing if the only quote they got was just too weird?
Oh my gosh. Oh my
Too weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And we correctly, even and Nick's got a comment here. You need a stubborn George Lucas mentality. It's not that anymore. George is the reason George has put his life and legacy into a wonderful museum. We can't wait to be open. Now, I think some of the game has changed, and we had a question on Friday. Talking maybe pitch at you guys too, a question about like, you know, when Kathleen Kennedy does retire and just go back to producing films, whoever slots into that position next, the head of Lucasfilm, whether it's a team, whether it's Dave, Carey, who knows, will it be the same as a Kathleen Kennedy who can sit down with Bob and go, Bob, you pay attention to me now, like that cult of personality, the Robert Evans, the characters of the past, for better or worse. Sometimes it was worse, but we are in a new era where now it is younger folks who have worked their way up in the system. It's a new era, and I think this is going to be more the norm. You're not going to have the ability to be stubborn George Lucas at a certain high level. You can try, and I want to push for that. I want stubborn Joseph Scrimshaw, the director, to get in a meeting with Dead Media. I want that to happen, but it's not. It's going to be, I think, harder when some of these older icons step aside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's very different to just be part of the studio system versus Lucas, who was like, here, take it or leave it. Like, I mean, he was an independent studio. I mean, like with the Clone Wars, it was like, here, I made it. Do you want to buy it or not? Do you want to air it or not? Is, very different than like Filoni, who is a creative guy, and I hope he gets a big seat at the table. But he hasn't been a fight his way through it producer. He's been a creative guy, and Kathleen Kennedy has been I know every job on set, and I know the back rooms of power, and I know how to navigate everything from stunt special effects to making sure craft services works to selling the pitch in the room. Like, she knows the entire business from top to bottom. I don't know if producers are kind of trained that way in the same way. It's
just to paraphrase my favorite Young Guns 2 quote from James Coburn, but it's like, oh, you think you like the Amblin era? Well, by God, I am Amblin era. Like that's Kathy, and that goes away.
Yeah.
Goes away. A little questions. We can go anywhere we need to go, of course. But do want to acknowledge Tim Slim with this very generous super chat. We appreciate that. Personally, I really felt that we went from the highs of Andor season 2 to the lows of what we could have had with Ben Solo, with more distrust between fans and Lucasfilm / Disney. What is the best path forward here? First, I'll start with you, Jed. I think that's a correct statement. That, again, full conversation aside, there's a little bit of distrust from a lot of the fandom. Some folks I saw were like, yeah, it wasn't the idea for me. There's other things to do, which is completely understandable and said with good reason. But what do you feel about that statement there, Jen? Distrust and going forward.
It's so funny because I feel like Kathleen Kennedy always gets so much flack and hate for everything she does. But here you have where she believed in this project. And as Adam Driver pointed out, like economically, they had a nice tight budget. And so they were going to stick to it, and they had found a way to make it work. So it's like they had a great story. They had a great team, go picture. And then they take it to Disney. And it's just shocking to me that Bob Iger didn't listen to Kathleen Kennedy. So I don't know if there's necessarily, I'm sure that there's distrust. But for me personally, I'm frustrated with Disney kind of, and I understand where they're coming from, but it just makes me sad that, like, of all people, I feel like Kathleen Kennedy should be able to go toe to toe with Bob Iger, and he should look at her track record and be like, okay, I'll trust you on this one, Kathy. And he didn't. And as we see with all these hashtags, people wanting this film, and maybe time has helped, right? Now people are ready for it. But I think that the fans want it.
That is one of the final big things to talk about here. But Joseph, I want to get your thoughts on distrust and how to go forward.
Yeah, I think there is a way forward, and I think that the truth of show business, to me, of art and commerce have always been connected. As soon as you got moving pictures, as soon as the Lumiere brothers were throwing trains at people's faces, money became involved. And so the dance has always been people who believe in story and want to connect to an audience and make them feel something, navigating the way to get that story to enough people that it makes a difference is convincing someone else that it's financially viable. Hollywood, expands and contracts on kind of how afraid it is, but fear is always a part of it, and things break through. And I think the hopeful thing to me is, even in this time that it feels extra like no studio will take any risk, and even the AI is built on repeating itself. And this is maybe the most fearful ever. Look at the amount of just great and beautiful art that is still getting through. I haven't got to see it yet, but the praise from one battle after another. Sinners was amazing. Going back a few years, horror's been on my mind, and Get Out is amazing, and all sorts of great art, and including in our world of Star Wars. We anytime we talk about the business, it's a little bit of the cloud or the dark side comes over us. Maybe there's some dark side in how Mando and Grogu came to screen. But when it comes out, I think I'm probably going to really love it, because even if it was just Bob Iger is sitting in his office and going, Mando, we can sell anything if we put a Grogu sticker on it. So you're making that movie. If it's as brutal and cruel as that, the film was still made by an artist and a storyteller named Jon Favreau, who wants to tell a story that makes a difference to us. So I think the beauty of storytelling still breaks through, and it's a sadness that sometimes it's fewer beautiful stories that break through the gauntlet of fear, but that's always a part of it, and the hopeful, beautiful stories always still break through, and that's why we're here. That's why we have a ForceCenter community, because those stories broke through that mean something to us all.
Absolutely, and I, what I appreciate about that is just you kind of you're scratching that itch, Joseph, of the full conversation, where I'm not here to defend the big business of all, but it's a reality, and it's never been a golden age where art ruled. It's always been the business side. This comes up in baseball a lot. You get a lot of old timers like, yeah, back when I was a kid, baseball was a game. Baseball's labor problems started almost a week after baseball became official in the 1880s. Like the first walkout on pay dispute happened in like 1882. It was never what you thought it was. In fact, it was worse back in the golden age. It was literally this weird indentured servitude type of system that Kurt Flood fought against in 1969 and 70 as a player, and lost his career for it. It's fascinating. So I don't like the rose-colored glasses, but through all that time, great art will continue to find its way out. It's the big tragedy, right? Like I'd love to wake up every day and write a poem that gets 1 million views, but it doesn't work. I have to find what works, and I have to find how I put my voice into things. And I think gives me hope. To Tim's question about distrust in the business, and how do we go forward, is as Star Wars fans, great stories will be there for us. We will be able to discover new things, and new things about old characters, and new characters to fall in love with. The art will still survive the business. As Ken Plume says, art has been declared dead many, many times before. I've killed art before. Do you want to get in a little bit to, I think I approached this was fun, but the conspiracy in the campaign, Jen, you touched upon it. Do
Yeah,
you think? I'm going to
Yeah,
ask you
yeah.
directly, Chad. I'm going to
Yeah.
be a reporter here. You've been a reporter your whole life. I'm going to be a reporter. Do you think, Jennifer Landa, that this was done intentionally to spur interest in this project?
I think it was perhaps done subconsciously. I don't think that Adam Driver has an agenda to get this made. He's not trying to be crafty and get the fans to bring this back. I think that he genuinely cared about this project and he feels comfortable talking about it because he knows it's like not happening, right? But there probably is some underlying thing in his subconscious where, yeah, putting it out there and kind of seeing what the interest is. I can't just help, but that's just a human thing that I could see kind of just bubbling up a little bit. I say go for it. I love it, and I mean, it obviously has worked for many director and even actor to get themselves cast. So yeah, let's make it happen. We tried to do it with Solo. It did not happen. We did not have a successful Solo campaign, but this has legs.
Yeah,
Call back.
Our friends at the Resistance broadcast with the Make Solo too, and yeah, absolutely. Great answer there, Joseph. Your conspiracy theories, sir.
Here's my conspiracy theory. I think Adam Driver is a very sincere human, and I think it hurts him to not say the truth. Adam Driver doesn't strike me as somebody. Yes. And again, I say this is a compliment, not a criticism of Sean Levy, who knows how to navigate the business, or even Ryan Reynolds, who is now, all these years later with huge Deadpool success, said, yeah, we leaked it on purpose. It was a strategy. It's legitimate. Do what you need to do to get your thing made. Fight for yourself. That's great. Adam Driver just strikes me as a guy who's like, it put a knife in his intestines every time somebody asked him about Star Wars, and he had to be like, yeah, sure, who knows? Instead of like, I've got a script and I love it. And he can't say it. And I trust what they said. It's dead. The NDA is gone. The only thing that's stopping me from saying it is, well, maybe it'll cause, a plane with a banner to fly over Disney, and maybe that'll make people at Disney unhappy. That's the only reason for him to not say it. Yeah. And so it seems to me perfectly consistent with his character, with how he presents himself, is I would just prefer to be honest. And the only reason for me to not say this is it's going to cause some ruffles maybe with Disney, but they said no. I'm not under contract. I'm going to be honest. And Soderbergh hadn't said anything until Adam Driver opened the floodgates, and then his comments were extremely honest of like, we are not gods. We are mortals. We made a pitch and we got to know. Yeah. It feels very honest. And they could have leaked it before to get people on board and given themselves leverage, and they didn't.
Yeah, I'm with you both. I think it's very fun to think it was done with great intention. I honestly don't think it was. I think the weirdest thing about it for me is that Adam is very plays things close to the chest, it would seem, based on all the things we talked about. But what you just said, Joseph, is absolutely true. This is someone who likes the truth, who is the artistic integrity. This is who will speak his mind. He'll talk about his. And I think once it was clear, let's talk about it. But I don't think it was done with any intention for both of them. Soderbergh, this guy's retired like 3 or 4 times from film, right? Isn't he? Wasn't he only like making movies on iPhones just like 2 years ago?
That's right. Yes.
So, and I know, look, I've retired from stand-up comedy about 7 times by now, so I get it. But I do think. And I love these theories, man. My head writing job the last couple of years on that old channel, the Y-Files, was digging into conspiracy theories. And unfortunately, when you dig in deep enough, they're never what you want them to be. They're never that super exciting. They are just like, yeah, I was asked about it in an interview and I said it. But the end result, Jed, is there is a campaign. There's a billboard that was taken out by fans. I don't know if it was local or New York or somewhere. There is that billboard. So there is still the possibility. Stranger things have happened in this town, except for Stranger Things. We don't know when season 5's coming, even though I think they announced a date, but it's been too long. So
they did announce dates.
They did announce a date. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, and I think it goes to what you were saying, Ken, earlier about even kind of jokingly. I think we can have kind of fun with it of like, yay, like a fictional father like son. Harrison Ford was kind of grumpy about Star Wars, and maybe Adam Driver is too. And it seems to me like part of what he's saying is like, no, I like the character and I would love to revisit him. And I've got, I don't super pay attention to it, but people bring it to me like, hey, a large chunk of the community thinks you're real lukewarm on this film or this character. Just think about it from a personal perspective of like, if half the people you knew thought like, oh yeah, no, I know Ken Napzok, he hates wrestling. And you're like, how did that get out there? I love wrestling, but I have an NDA, so I can't tell people for bleep's sake. It's a big part of my life,
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's some truth to that too. Absolutely, I like that angle on it as well because it's just it was so casual, but like I said, Jed, the end result could. So I'm not asking you to predict if it could happen because I'll tell I don't think it will happen. I don't think all the campaigning in the world, especially with we got another CEO switchover, drama playing out right now. Where Iger's supposed to step down within this next year, and you're going to have. Two more people, and I'll let you jump in here, Jim. But I made a point on Friday of like it's kind of like in football when you're going to fire the coach or the coach is going to go out. You don't want to rebuild the team until you get the new leadership in place. You don't draft the quarterback till you get the new coach and GM because you don't want them saddled with your decision. So that's why I think we might have a while on anything big coming out. But anyways, Jen, take it away.
Yeah, I really was hoping that this would gain traction. Everything I've been seeing about this story is just comments flooded saying how much they want this. I really think that the fans seem to be behind it, but that doesn't seem to matter. I don't know. I really don't think that they're going to do it. They have so many potential projects that are lined up like at the point we don't even really know. We don't know what's happening with streaming there besides obviously Mall and the Visions thing
this week. Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, we got that. I just don't see where this would fit in with the slate. I do think that there's a hunger for it. I think personally, they'd be fools not to make it. Fools.
She says. Fools.
You guys, I saw the trailer for Wuthering Heights starring Jacob Elordi and Margot Robbie. And I'm not saying that the Raylo movie, with Ben Solo and Ray, the hunt for Ben Solo, whatever. I could see some parallels there. Those of you that have seen the trailer.
Okay. I haven't seen it.
It could be a bring sexy back to Star Wars. Let me just say that.
Okay.
I love it. I love it.
Little Padme and Anakin by the fire. Okay, I got you. Okay. I got
Fools. Thank you, Lost Cosmic Jedi. Fools, PH.
Absolutely. Well, look, I'll say this. Joseph, you could feel free to lay down your prediction whether or not this will happen or not. The one thing I will say, again, I hate to feel that I'm sometimes taking the opposite side when it comes to business decisions. But I just have that in me. I guess I do. But I don't necessarily want them to listen to every fan's whim because otherwise they would have been like, oh, there's a campaign to remake episode 8. Let's do it. Let's do it. Like, I don't want them to make those decisions. I do know they're plugged in enough to get that feel, but I sometimes want it separate. But anyways, Joseph, nail down a prediction. Come on.
Yeah, I think that I don't think this is necessarily dead because I think the current slate is up for re-examination because I think your point is great and your baseball analogy as always is on fire, Ken. Of we've got 2 movies coming out for the next 2 years. They're covered on coming back into the theaters and having something big to celebrate the 50th anniversary. They've also been pretty clear up and down of like it's a standalone. It's just for funsies, just a one-shot funsies movie with the Ryan Gosling film. Whatever's going to happen with the Ray film, whatever's going to happen with the Simon Kinberg trilogy, I do think there is enough up in the air that you could maybe get, if you got a new executive in, it wouldn't have that feeling of, oh, the fans yelled at us, so we just said yes, which is a slippery slope. But if you got a new head of Lucasfilm, a new head of Disney, and they said, yeah, we've been looking at it, one of the most celebrated directors of all time and one of the most famous movie stars in the planet want to do a film starring a guy who is a character who's beloved in a trilogy that has got lots of abuse. This is the one that everybody seems to like. And the people who grew up with those films are just getting to the perfect age to buy every topless Ben Solo action figure we can put out, you know, we've reconsidered. I think with new management, it's one thing for Iger to just be like, I got yelled at online, so I changed my mind. That's dangerous for him, but not for the new person.
Yeah. I think it's still possible. I absolutely think it's still possible.
Take my money.
Yeah. There's also hey, you can still do two films a year if you want to get up to that again. I don't think we ever necessarily will, but one off or something like that. It's possible because things are changing drastically and rapidly in this industry, in this town.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Did we leave any questions out here? Nick, thank you for the super chat. Great to have the whole gang together. It's good to have the gang back together. A lot of fun. Stephanie, Ben Solo movie would have been cool. I'm still looking forward to Mandalorian Grogu. Same with us here. We don't like taking one thing to bash the other, so that's good. There. Any other questions jumping out to you here? I'm scrolling through them as well here.
Looking through. That is a fun question here. Our friend Ken Plume came in here with a super chat with a very classic question. What accessory would an action figure of you have? I believe I would come with another smaller action figure. Jen, what accessory would you have if you were an action figure?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean,
what would
obviously,
you want to have?
one would, of course, I would say a child because I always have my children. But let's do something fun. Let's do something fun and whimsical.
Something fun. I just heard that.
My child will be its own action figure, is what I mean.
Right.
One battle after another. I'm just thinking of the baby sequence. Anyways, yeah. So they'll be their own action figures.
Yeah.
Their own wants and independent thoughts. And I will be something. I don't know what. Come back to me.
Would you have a long Furby? That's what Channel 19 suggests. Would you come with
Oh
a
my
long
gosh.
Furby?
Yeah. Thank you, Channel. Yes. 019.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it'd be. It would be, and it would be like around my neck, and it would be moving, and maybe there would be like some sort of plug-in feature where like we could chat with each other.
This is a great action figure.
Wow.
High end. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a prestige figure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You got to pay a little bit more for the Jen Landa action figure. Ken, what accessory would you come with?
In the years past, I could frozen burritos, stand-up comedy microphones. Now, and if you've watched any live stream I've done, except for maybe this one, Francis, my Chihuahua, would have to be the action figure because we're attached to the hip. Though I took her for a walk between our recording session and this live show, so she's passed out and not interrupting this live show as she's interrupted all last 2-3 weeks of my live shows. So I think that would be it.
That's a great one.
There we go.
What did you say, Joseph?
I would probably come with another action figure, not of me.
Oh, right.
Honestly,
Okay.
that's the thing I would have is.
Yeah. They
Mm-hmm.
sell those little mini brands.
Quick questions here to get through. Limtalica. I love that album by that band. Hey, ForceCenter friends, can't stay. Bonner asks, do you think Mando or Grogu or Starfighter will go back to having an open crawl, seeing how the main saga is over for now? I don't think it will be I think it will be, if anything, will be the Solo/Willow crawl, which I really like. I think something like that would work for me.
Yeah,
Acolyte.
I think they will both have text the way Acolyte did, Ahsoka season 1 did. I think that tradition is fun. I think it also evokes the storybook fairy tale side of Star Wars, and it allows you to just sort of emotionally, it allows you to set the stakes of the film, and also kind of clarify when and why we're seeing this story.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Oh.
There you go. Jen, what do you want? You want the old school?
No, preserve it for when we get the hunt for Ben Solo. Save it for that.
Ben Solo has disappeared. Literally.
Yes.
He disappeared.
That's the end of the crawl.
Great. Exactly.
There you go. There you go. Quickly running through some comments about the bigger conversation. Maddie Mourner, our friend Maddie Gunner, liked an idea of Ray being manipulated, for lack of a better word, by memories of Ben, being led on a quest to find him and only have to learn to let him go now that he's the one with the Force. I like that. Also, some of the stuff you were saying, Joseph, just also maybe, it's not necessary that he suddenly returns, that it could be something else, because it is Star Wars and the Force, and you can do a lot of different things with it. All right. Another generous super chat from Tim. Just realized this December is the 10th anniversary of Force Awakens. 2 years later, the 40th anniversary of New Hope and the 10th anniversary of The Last Jedi. Surely the sequel convos will be civil and meaningful, right? I find it doubtful. I'm always hopeful for the next generations to come forward and kind of lead some of the conversations if they're allowed to, and I think that will start to emerge. Yeah, from my perspective, it might not be until we started broadcasting regularly, and until I was on Jedi Alliance with Maude Garrett, and we'd make a prequel joke, harmless one, but then we get comments of, "Hey, that's our Star Wars." That's the first time I started to notice the prequel generation stepping forward. So in that 15 to 10 year mark, but I think as we start celebrating these anniversaries, including the one here in December, you'll start to see more of the conversation be led by the next generations who enjoyed them. I think maybe, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Are they doing anything big? Are they re-releasing it back into theaters?
Force Awakens, if they are, they haven't communicated.
Yeah, that's my knowledge.
Yeah, that's
my knowledge.
Darn.
I think they're biding their time. I'm sure a lot of people have seen a social media post going around of somebody's like, I still don't like the sequels, but I take back everything I said about it being dumb that a fascist government returned so quickly after one collapsed.
I've seen that. Yep.
So I think we got a lot of that. We've got a lot of that with the prequels of like, we thought politics were boring, but now, hey, we get the point of the prequels and how George's big point of it. A society allows itself to be destroyed from the inside, and so I think we're already seeing a little bit of that. I think there are already people who grew up with the sequels getting more vocal, and I think that will only increase. I also just from the point of view of history, having been alive and cognizant between the original trilogy films, there was so much between those films where people built up specific expectations that if you're 10 right now and you sit down and watch the original trilogy, 3 days in a row on Disney Plus with your parents, you don't have time to fantasize about everything that Boba Fett should have done and be mad about his Sarlacc. You don't have time to debate for 3 years about, will Leia choose Luke or Han ultimately, and then be mad that Luke and Leia are siblings. The things that most drove some of the most passionate opinions about the original trilogy was the space between them in the time to develop strong opinions. And that I think was even more powerful in the sequel trilogy, because we have these wonderful communities discussing every aspect, and we built up what we wanted. And then when it wasn't that, we got very, very mad. And somebody 10 years old sitting down right now to watch the sequel trilogy will have none of that baggage. They will just watch a connected story. They won't know, did Rian Johnson get an offer on a plane to direct? Did J.J. Abrams push him out? None of that will be in their minds. They'll be watching a story about people who want love and connection and family and making the right choices. And that will be the legacy of the sequel trilogy. And all of our bitter memories of what we wanted it to be will fade, as it has with the original trilogy.
Well said. It kind of ties into a comment I'd set aside from our buddy Chris at Bro. Actually, part of me thinks we shouldn't hear any BTS news like this Hunt for Ben Solo thing because of the fandom backlash, discourse, etc. On the other hand, I kind of want all the what could have beens and everything. Yeah, I love this kind of stuff. But yeah. I would love a 9-year-old being like, Mom, I heard Ryan flew to London and then got off the plane, but Michelle Rejwan had already convinced JJ to come back. And so Kathleen Kennedy chose JJ because JJ needed to get his big studio deal. And then they gave Ryan the trilogy, but he hadn't thought about it. I heard that. Just enjoy your Star Wars. Just enjoy your Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like hearing those casting things. Eric Stoltz was auditioning, or he was cast, right? As Marty. He was cast. He shot. That's right. Oh my God.
This is an old person conversation. That's always been a part of this pop culture knowledge, right? Vigo broke his toe. Eric Stoltz was Marty McFly. But growing up, That was still like an urban legend and rumors. You did not have a lot of like, oh, someone's got the deleted scenes up on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I didn't like learn all that stuff. That wasn't confirmed for me to like the mid 90s.
Right.
Crazy.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Better off not knowing.
All right. Anything on the table, my friends, as we start to wrap up this conversation?
No, I'm good. I'm good. This was great. It was a great return to a big, interesting story in Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to have you back, my friend. And we'll have a episode out later this week. That is the three of us sitting down, looking back again at the start of the podcast 10 years ago. We had a great conversation last week, Jennifer and I. Thank you all who reacted to it. A lot of great comments and engagement. But I don't say that for the numbers. I just say that it's great to hear from the community and talk about your journey with us over the last few years. So we're going to do that again this week. Trying to determine if we're live Friday or if I'm going to take calls, because it is also Halloween, and I don't celebrate Halloween, but I do celebrate candy, so I might not be around. We'll see. Follow us if you're watching on YouTube. Links down below. ForceCenter Pod on social media. ForceCenter Show on TikTok. Hey, if you'd like help the show grow, be part of the community that we're talking about, join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/ForceCenter. Follow me at Napzok. Check out my show, The Blathering live 3 times a week. We have a lot of fun. We get serious. Sometimes I yell at Mike Johnson. Other times I eat a lot of that candy that I love on air as a bet. You can find it on YouTube. Jen, where can they find and follow you?
You can find me on all the social media sites at Jennifer Landa. Eric Stoltz shot for weeks. That would be rough.
Jen, weeks.
That would be rough.
Oh, yeah.
Glad it wasn't me. Sorry.
There you go. Glad it was. Joseph, thank you for finding the time. You're still busy. I want people to know you're still busy. You did not reach the finish line. You only started a new race with the film, but we're so happy to have you back. So tell them where they can find and follow and still support your journey with Dead Media.
Yeah, thank you so much. You can find me on all the social media, Blue Sky, Instagram, Facebook. I'm trying to be on Threads. I'm even posting on LinkedIn because I have accepted.
I saw that.
I have accepted the show business part of it. It's so hard as an artist, man. It's like I'm looking at every line, every shot to say, does this emotionally communicate what I want to? A single tear is running down my face. It's like I think I managed to communicate what I need to. And then next second is like, but in order to make the investors' money back, I should post on LinkedIn because you have to, because all that emotion doesn't get to people unless you find a way to get it to people.
That is true.
In show business. So anyway, if you want to follow me on social media, that's great. You can also check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com. We've got a mailing list going for people who just want updates about things that are happening with the horror film, Dead Media. So I'll be putting that out more on social media if you want to sign up for that. Thank you to the whole ForceCenter community for so much support of this film. It's really seen and appreciated.
It is. I love. I'm posting more on LinkedIn too, and I love the difference on Blue Sky. I'm like, hey, here's my live stream. I got drunk this week on LinkedIn. I'm like, I launched a new series leveraging my connection with the audience and alcohol.
It is so true. LinkedIn is the bad place, as Last Cosmic Jedi. It really is.
It really is.
But if you want to circle back and incentivize, you got to do it on LinkedIn.
Synergy here at America's Diner, Denny's, and the Solo Pancakes. All right, everybody.
Feed.
See you next time here on ForceCenter.